Hey game designers, in this video we're going to finish up the tree by adding the leaves. So let's go ahead and get started. So what we're going to do first is we're going to actually just create a poly primitive. So again, let's make sure that your interactive creation is off and that you can just simply click on a plane and it should create it at the origin. So if I hit W right now, you'll see that my plane's at the origin. Let's go ahead and just move it out of the origin real quickly so that we can just see what it looks like here. I'm gonna hit F and frame it, okay? And we have a simple, 2 by 2. Now let's go ahead and make sure that your plane is the same size as mine. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do 1 width, 1 height, 2 width subdivisions, and 2 height subdivisions. So you basically have a 1 by 1 square here with 4 sections, okay? So what we're gonna do first is we're going to right click on our plane and we're going to assign it a new material. Okay, so the default material is called Lambert 1. We're going to create our own Lambert here, so we're just going to click on Lambert. And what it did was it would create Lambert 2. So if you look under the attribute editor here, you'll see Lambert 2. We'll go to Lambert 2 and we'll go ahead and change it. Now you can change colors and other things like that, the other attributes, just like you do similar to Unity. But here what we're really going to worry about is we're going to actually just change the color using a file type. Okay, so I'm going to click on File. Now you should have downloaded already the Google Classroom file, so it should be on your desktop. Let's go ahead and click on Image Name here, the name of the file, and it should be on your desktop. So I'm going to click on Desktop right here, and then I'm going to look for the name of the branch and leaf, and it should give you a preview right here. It should look like this, 4.5 megabytes. You should have downloaded it. Go and hit Open. Okay. And now let's go ahead and look at our plane. So you see our plane right here. It has this Lambert 2 that should look like a bunch of leaves, but you probably don't see anything quite yet until you turn Shading, Hardware Texturing. Okay, Shading, Hardware Texturing. You're going to do this for all your windows here. Okay, and let's go ahead and frame it over here, and let's get it out of the ground so you can see it. Okay. So you can hide your terrain for now, okay, and you will see your leaves, okay. So using my perspective view, I'm going to look at it and kind of see it from all angles, and you notice the angle over here, it is dark, okay. So what we're going to do is that we're going to turn the under Lambert 2 under the common material attributes, we're going to turn on the translucence up. So basically whatever you see on this side will appear on this side. Okay. All right. So we're going to use this to populate our leaves on our tree, but the problem that we have is that it's a relatively flat object, right? So if you look at it from this view, you won't see any leaves at all, and that makes it kind of unrealistic here. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of bend these leaves using these points just ever so slightly to kind of create volume. Now you can do it a variety of ways. I've seen it done a variety of ways. You can grab the midpoint and kind of pull it up here, and this kind of adds geometry here. What I'm going to do instead is kind of push it down. Okay, and when I push it down, you'll see from this view, you'll see that it has a little bit of volume. Okay. Okay, and I've seen other people where they kind of bend the other corners to kind of create extra geometry, and you can kind of decide for yourself what works best for you. I'm just going to go ahead and let's see, if I see it from this view, I only see leaves like this, and kind of look at it from all the views and kind of see the pros and cons of what you're doing. If I just left it the way I originally did, and you'll see that you'll see some leaves like this. If you're kind of coming from that angle, you see it from these angles, it looks all nice. So again, this is kind of all up to you how you want to do it. I think this one makes the most sense because ultimately you want to put these on the trees and you kind of want to bend it like this so that it looks like it has volume. Okay, and I'll go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to bend the middle one down. Okay. Again, there's more than one way to do this. Maybe in your class, I might have told you to bend it up, bend it across. And again, there's no good way to do this, a perfect way to do this, because we are emulating three-dimensional leaves with only planes here. Okay, and for this video, I think I'm just going to leave it like this. Okay, so before we can start taking these leaves and putting it onto our tree, I want you to go ahead and click on W, and then look at the pivot point. So if I click on, let's go back to object mode here. If I go to the object mode, the pivot is right in the center of our branch, and that's not what we want. Because basically what we want to do is be able to attach this to our trees, and we want to always attach using the branch part right here. So what you do is you hold D, and you can move your pivot point with the arrow keys and move it directly over the branch. Okay, so from the front view here, it's going to go right over the branch, and on the top view, you have it placed right on top of the branch. Okay, and that's all you need. Now, some videos or in some classes, I might try to do a cross, like I'll do another cross here, duplicate this and make a cross. And that's up to you. Again, it's kind of up to you and how much work you want to do. If you want to do less work, you'll make the cross, and that'll help you make it look like there's more trees. If you want to make it look better, you would actually take this one and bend it multiple times until you get the exact way you want to look. So I'll show you kind of like the more detailed way of doing it without doing it the cross. Okay. So anyway, let's go ahead and kind of zoom out and look at our tree. So I'm looking at the tree right now, and I'm going to go ahead and use one of the snap tools. So you can snap using the object live. So let's say I want to populate this one, I can turn it object live and anything snaps to it. Okay. Or you can do what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go vertex mode. So if I click here, it'll snap to points. So this thing has multiple points. So if I go back to my plane here, I can snap it to any vertex that is available on my tree. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and Control D, and I'm going to move it, and it's going to snap to vertexes on my tree. Okay, so there's my first snap. I kind of snapped it to the tip here, and obviously this doesn't look good because it's way too small. I'm going to scale it. So I'm going to scale it up here, make it look big. I'm going to rotate it, try to get to see the view that I want. And you kind of have to do this using perspective view here, frame, and kind of look at what you're doing and see how it looks. And right now it doesn't look very natural, right? So I'm going to rotate it up a little bit. So I'm going to use the red axis and kind of see what it's doing here. Okay, maybe I don't want to even put it on the tip at all. Maybe I'll put it like somewhere over here, and I'm going to rotate it down. Okay, and again, the point is that most of the time people are going to see your tree. They're going to see it from underneath, right? So if I kind of move my perspective down, right, this is kind of the angle you're going to see it. So this is kind of meant to be the first one here. So if I want to make a second one, I'm going to duplicate again. I'm going to take my plane, duplicate it again, and I'm going to rotate one over here, and I'm going to rotate it kind of upward and kind of bend forward, kind of upward, then bend back like this. So now when you look kind of at this branch, right, you're going to kind of see it from this view. You kind of see multiple angles, and at some point it's going to look more real, some point it's going to look less real, but you're going to get the idea here. So I'm going to duplicate it again, Control D. I'm going to move it, I don't know, some point over here, and I'm going to do kind of the same exercise here, kind of rotate where I want it, kind of move it down here, kind of rotate it down, maybe rotate it up again, kind of rotate it like that. Okay, and the idea again is that you got to think about where your character is most likely to perceive your tree. Okay, and if I keep doing this though, it's going to take a long time. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab all three planes, and I'm just going to use the R tool and scale it really big, because I don't want to do this forever. Okay, so I kind of have like these 3 leaves now, and it looks like that. And at this point, right, so it looks like I got my first set of branches here. So actually, I'm gonna try this. I don't even know if it'll work. I'll take all 3. I'm gonna duplicate it again. Okay, so I created 3 planes with 1 duplicate, and I'm just gonna move it down somewhere like that. Okay, so now you kind of see what I created and kind of created it down. Maybe I'll move it up a little bit closer, somewhere right there. You can see basically the idea is that no matter how you do it, it's no perfect way, perfect angle that you're going to get this. But what I found is that basically the more you do, the more realistic it looks. So I'm just going to actually keep these three and duplicate it again, move it down, snap it somewhere. And you just notice that the more you do, just the more realistic the tree looks. Okay? So I'm just going to do another duplicate here, kind of move down, kind of looking from far away. You start to see some, start to look like leaves, right? And maybe I'll do another duplicate, Control D, but this one I'm kind of Control Z that. I have all the duplicates already selected here. I'm going to kind of move it to the top over here. Move it to the top of the tree. Something like that. And this time I'm going to kind of rotate all three of them. So I'm going to rotate all three of them. And kind of create a little top here. Let's see how that looks. Let's go ahead and frame it. Kind of look over here. Kind of give it some volume elsewhere. Okay. And again, I mean, like I said, there's different ones where I've done it where it crisscrosses. I've done it where, we just don't use any crisscross at all. I've done it where it uses boxes. And there's drawbacks and whatnot to each. Basically, the gist of it is the more detailed you are, the more likely you are to kind of go in here and individually move these so that you get exactly what you want. So if you're picky, you're going to do some that cross. You're going to take ones that you don't like, that kind of it makes it look too parallel, for example. Like maybe I'll try to click on, so I can click on that one, or that one. Kind of figure out what plane that is. I don't like. And go in there and really manually change it. Like I said, I'm not too big on you have to do it a certain way and you have to make it look a certain way. That's still up to your artistic ability. But you kind of get the idea. So let's go ahead and just kind of quickly populate this and see if I can make mine look like a tree, even though I'm kind of copy and pasting. So I'm going to go ahead and take one of them, duplicate it, use my move tool, and kind of move it over here. Kind of look at the first one and see if I can kind of repeat my work so I don't have to kind of do this all over again. Something like that. Okay. I want to use my F key to frame, kind of see how I like this leaf and how it looks off the branch. Okay. And then I can go and Control Duplicate again, move it kind of further down. Again, I'm using Snap to Vertice, so always snap to some part of the tree. And you're going to rotate it around, kind of figure out where you want it to look. Okay. And the idea is that you have enough leaves so that, overall it looks like a tree from the top and from the sides here. So I'll kind of F frame it here. Frame it here. You kind of see that, we start to have a tree. And let's see. Let's take another one over here. I'll duplicate it again. Rotate. Kind of over here. Kind of bend it. Bend it upward, downward, sideways. Kind of get a sprout looking kind of feel to it. Okay. And if you want, if you're getting lazy like me and you're like, okay, this is taking too long, let's go ahead and just take two of them. Try to use Control here. Go to Object Mode. Let's see if I can click on two of them. I can just click on my last two. I guess this one and this one and this one. Okay. So I have these two that I already kind of created. They're next to each other. They kind of have similar pivot points. I can Control D, duplicate them both, use my W, kind of move it, somewhere else on the tree, kind of somewhere on the side like that. Give it some volume, maybe something like that. Then Control D again. And again, I'm just trying to make this quick as possible. Control D again. Make it, okay. Now obviously each one, each one of these planes, you can go, okay, I want it to look like that. I want to rotate a little bit, have a little bit of random rotation. So E, rotate, 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 and just rotate. Even if you just kind of rotate randomly, it looks better than it's all this like beautifully uniform ones, because obviously leaves don't grow that way, and you can just, if you're getting lazy like me, just go ahead and start rotating, rotating, just sporadically rotate, pivots, and the idea is that if you have enough of it and you're random enough, it'll start to look realistic. Like I said, I'm not going to judge you on exactly how much rotations you're going to do. Does it look realistic, perfectly here? Just try to get it done. So just, something sporadic like that, okay? So let's see how it looked out after all these rotations and whatnot. Okay. And not too bad. I think I just need some like on the top here. So maybe I'll do some that look like this. And rotate it around. Sometimes rotating upside down is not always easiest to do. I'm sure I can use my rotation tools a little bit better. Okay. But anyway, once you get to a certain point, it actually doesn't look so bad. If you start seeing things that look too uniform here, you can go ahead and come in and do some slight rotations, and it'll get rid of that uniform look. So like for example, I have like a bunch of trees up here that look kind of like they're all the same, like they're all kind of lined up together. So like something like this, right? Something like that one, right? Number 17 here, or something like that. Kind of rotate it around. Rotate it around a little bit. Just something to make it kind of sporadic and random, so it doesn't look like it's all like I duplicated a whole bunch of them, which I did, but it doesn't look as duplicated here. All right, so again, let's go to this one right here. Let's kind of make a duplicate of this one. Rotate its duplicate around, something like that. Okay, then take both of these. So take this one and this one. Okay, and I'm just going to duplicate because I am, not too crazy about going crazy with this. Maybe I'll duplicate and rotate as I need it right ready. Kind of rotate. Control D again, duplicate, W to move. So kind of move over here and start rotating it, just somewhere. Okay. And again, just the more you do, the more real it looks. So I want to duplicate again, use the move tool, move it down here, give it some random rotations, and then a couple more Control D's here, move it down here, rotate, rotate. Okay, let's kind of frame it now and kind of see how that branch is looking here. So it's looking like something, and again, you can be more radical if you really want to go in detail and come in here and go, oh no, I want to rotate that one more. Oops, I want to rotate that one more or less, or whatever you feel like you want to get the perfect look that you want. The idea again is that we're just populating and that we're creating a tree, and you kind of see from the top view here that we're getting there. So I'm going to go back and click on my two favorite ones or whatever, my last two. They were next to each other. So I'm going to Control Duplicate again. Move it to, I don't know, to this branch over here. Use my rotate tool, rotate two at a time. Okay. And Control D again to duplicate, W to move. Move it somewhere over here. Rotate it, again, some random sporadic way so that it doesn't everything doesn't look like it's aligned. Control D again to duplicate two of them. Kind of move it over here. Rotate. And again, this is already kind of too tedious as it is already. So I'm not going to be, like I said, too picky on you guys. If, you guys don't spend the time to make your tree look, the best it needs to be to make it most realistic here. Okay, I'm going to Control D again, duplicate, use my W tool, snap on. Again, I'm using my snap to point. So it will always snap to a point on the tree. And I'm going to use rotate, kind of move this one kind of way over here. And maybe duplicate again. And then use W to move it. Some right here. Maybe duplicate again. move one over here, kind of rotate it. Okay, maybe click on the last two, rotate that. Why forget the chance. So again, I'm just kind of doing it randomly so that I just kind of get volume. And if I really feel something, the need to go in there and, really specifically add more volume, I'll do so. So I'll do another Control D, like maybe just like it's too barren over here. I'll use my W tool, snap it over here, use my rotate tool, just to add volume in places you think where it's lacking volume. Your tree doesn't look like it's like too much empty space in that area. Go ahead and add it there. Control D again. Use my W tool, kind of come up here, kind of do some random rotations so that it doesn't look like the same as the other one. And again, you can see that I'm not paying too much attention, but you can see that the product is getting there, except for maybe like a few of them. Like this one's actually, I don't think it's pivoted anywhere. This one's kind of like out in the middle of space. Once in a while you'll see that like in the midst of of pivoting and stuff, you just have like a random leaf in the middle of nowhere. This all looks good, so I'm gonna go back again and just duplicate. Just kind of add some trees here. So let's see if I have 49 and 48 next to each other. Okay, yeah. So 49 and 40 are next to each other. I'm going to duplicate it again. Use my W tool, kind of move it over here. Kind of look at that, how it looks. Kind of rotate it down or something like that. Okay. Kind of rotate it like that. Control D again to duplicate, or click on my last two. Control duplicate again. Use my W tool, pivot it somewhere on the top here, rotate it, kind of upward because this is the top of my tree. Okay, maybe Control D again, make another duplicate, and keep the same kind of location, but I'm going to kind of rotate it even more over here, kind of add some volume over here, and you can kind of see from different views, like where you might look like you're lacking volume. Like over here, I can see that my trees are kind of naked right here. So I'm going to go here in 58, 57, the last two, Control duplicate, move it, kind of over here. And this is the great thing about looking at different perspectives, is that you can really see like, where I'm lacking and where I could, increase, volume, and where I try to, avoid having these empty spaces. So I'm going to rotate through here. I think now I can rotate blue, now probably green, and then the red axis, yep, something like that. Okay, then kind of upward, okay, something like that. Add some volume. Maybe I'll take the last two again, I'll duplicate again, pivot over to like a little bit over here, rotate it kind of sideways. Okay, something like that. So now we got some trees going on here. So if some of these, like like from the front view or side view, you can kind of rotate off, and and there you have it. I'm not going to get too fancy again. This is just a lot of work. Just get your tree populated with a lot of leaves, duplicate it, move it, randomly rotate it, and if you do enough of it, it looks real enough. Okay, so I can see here that my tree looks relatively real enough. As long as you populate it more. Like if you see areas that you think, oh my God, it's like so naked right here, go take your leaf and go duplicate it, and go move it. Add some stuff over here, and then rotate it, kind of cover up all the dead area, and you do enough of it, it looks real enough. Okay, all right. So that's kind of my video on how to make a tree. Obviously, if you really want to, let's go ahead and try it. If I click on all the planes I have here, okay, so let's say I click on all my planes here, and let's say I was really done. Okay, I'm gonna hold Shift or hold Control. No, it's not gonna let me do it. Shift, or I think it's Control. Yeah, no, Control. So if I use Control and I Shift, Control, and I shift all these planes, right? Let's say if I really want to make it look just bigger, maybe what I can do is I can just go ahead and use the R tool and just scale everything bigger. Okay. And now it looks like a more fuller tree without much work, right? I just basically made all my leaves a little bit bigger, and it looks like it has more volume, right? And once we paint the tree color brown, it's not going to look as kind of an eyesore right now, because our Lambert is still that white gray color. So once we turn the tree brown, it'll actually mesh in better with the branches, and that will also give us a little more realism. Maybe before we can finish this video, let's go ahead and do some cleanup. Okay, so basically, if you're done with this tree and you think your tree is good enough as it is, it's time that we combine everything. Okay, so I'm going to use Control here, and hold Control, and okay, start at one end. So I'm going to go to Extrude Surface 1, and I'm just going to hold Control and go down to Shift. Okay, I mean Shift now. Okay, click on your first one, hold Shift, click on 60. It'll click on all of these, and go ahead and we're going to combine the mesh. So we combine everything as one object. Okay, and we can do a little bit of cleanup here. We're going to go ahead and center our pivot. We're going to delete anything in our history. It's going to become one tree here. We're going to freeze transformation, make it all nice and zeroed out here. These NURB circles and stuff, we no longer need it. And our curve, we no longer need it. And now we can put our plane back on. And now we have this beautiful tree, and we can go in here and rename it. Let's go ahead and rename it. Double click here. You know, this is original tree. Or let's call it my tree. Okay, my tree. And there you have it. You have now a tree that you can scale and replicate and, you know, move around. Now, obviously, this tree is way too big, because according to our scale, each one of these squares is 1 meter. So this tree is like the tree of life or something, because it's got to be at least 20 meters, which is like 60 feet, or if I do the math right, like 60 feet wide, which isn't that that crazy. But yeah, we can scale it down a little bit. You want to take your whole tree and scale down a little bit, you can, okay, so that your tree looks more natural to what it's going to look like when it goes onto your terrain. You can take your tree and let's go ahead and move it down, so it touches the ground. Oh, it looks like I snapped it to my, if I frame it. Nope, I don't want to do that. You can make sure you turn off your snap tool here. Kind of move it, oops, not my plane. Move my tree kind of where I want it. Okay, and there you have it. You have your tree on top of your plane. And again, we'll come back on another video and just paint everything. Okay, just go ahead and paint everything. So this is kind of our video that finished up with the tree.